This Roblox developer went missing. This is Mr. Bean Guy. He was once one of the most popular creators on the entire platform. With nearly 2 billion visits across his games, most developers would still be around creating hits. However, his story took a dark turn. Within just a few years, he lost everything, and now he's completely vanished. What exactly happened? Did he really go missing, or is he still lurking secretly on Roblox? But before we uncover what really happened to this developer, we need to go back to where it all began. Mr. Bean Guy, whose real name is Fred, created his Roblox account on December 3rd of 2011. For the first few years of his account existing, he just casually played Roblox games like most players on the platform. But in the background across all these years, he was slowly leaning into his passion, developing games. Across 2016 and 2017, Fred would start learning how to develop games and create early prototypes to his hit game that would soon not only skyrocket his career but also end it. Nonetheless, on July 4th, 2018, Fred created Ragdoll Engine. He had put in all his effort and time into developing this game by himself. The game was smooth and pretty polished, but most importantly, the game was very unique. So you may suspect that the game gained popularity quickly, but in reality the game was dead. With no previous projects of his being popular or having no initial player base, the game had nowhere to go. It was looking bad for Fred, but he never gave up. He kept his focus on Ragdoll Engine, believing that one day it would get the recognition it deserved. And that hard work and consistency is exactly what caused Ragdoll Engine to start gaining players in mid-2019, almost an entire year after the release of the game. But the wait was worth it. The game quickly gained popularity and was on the front page. By the end of 2019 and early 2020, the game absolutely took off. TikTokers were using Ragdoll Engine as the background game. This gave Ragdoll free promotion, and this success would only grow whenever COVID hit the world. During 2020, the game was gaining visits fast. Everyone was at home, and games had the biggest chance to blow up at this time. However, with great power comes great responsibility. This quote would become true for Fred as there was a growing problem brewing in his game. Exploiters. Since the game was a sandbox with just tools, this game was heavily targeted by hackers. While most hackers were harmless and just flung players around, this exploiting problem would soon lead Ragdoll into its inevitable fate. And it would also play a crucial role into Mr. Bean Guy's disappearance, as you'll see later on in the video. But throughout the rest of 2020 and early 2021, the game peaked its player count. The game had turned into mostly a hangout spot for players on Roblox. Ragdoll Engine was everywhere, and Fred's hard work finally felt like it had paid off. But again, the game was infested with exploiters. Ragdoll Engine was the game where every exploiter tested their hacks. It also didn't help that Roblox had no anti-cheat at the time. Hacking was just as simple as searching up hacks for Roblox and downloading whatever software was popular. Exploiting was at its peak, and Ragdoll being the main target for these hackers would ultimately lead it into facing one of the biggest game-breaking hacks in Roblox history. In mid-2021, when the game was still very popular, a hacker managed to hack the game and remove the base plate of the game, which simply made the game completely unplayable. By now, Fred was sick and tired of all the exploiters targeting his game, so he made a tough decision that would ultimately change the future of his career forever. On June 24th, 2021, the game was privated, which meant no one could join the game. The game had amassed over 1.6 billion visits, becoming one of the only few games to have over 1 billion visits at the time. However, it wasn't completely over for the game, as Fred stated that the game was going to be receiving an update in July of that same year. This calmed the waters down for a lot of players, worrying that the game would never return. However, whenever July arrived, nothing. July came and went, and the game didn't reopen. A few months went by and still no news. It wasn't until the end of 2021 that Fred announced that the game would remain closed until further notice. By now, other developers were trying to recreate Ragdoll Engine. The Ragdoll Engine community was still present, but it was slowly fading away. It was now April 13th of 2022, and by now people had already started to forget about Fred, and many were questioning what he was actually really up to. But on that same day, Fred would change the name of the game to 3 dots, and the description and thumbnail was also changed. This only drew more uncertainty as most players didn't know if Fred was implying to the return of the game or the ultimate death of the game. 5 months later, after the changes to the game, something special had happened. The game was reopened. However, this time the game was left uncopy locked, and Fred stated that it was the last update Ragdoll Engine would ever receive. Along this, he also stated that he had simply lost interest in updating the game entirely. By now, the Ragdoll community had moved on, and Roblox itself had changed completely too. The few players that were left still played Ragdoll, but the game didn't feel the same. Since the game was uncopy locked, this meant Ragdoll Engine wasn't special anymore, and the game was cloned hundreds if not thousands of times. On June 24th, 2022, Fred decided to do something that would lead to the fate of his career. He spent a total of nearly 240 million Robux on limited items, which was equivalent to over $800,000. Everyone suspected it was just another developer investing in limited items. But Fred didn't stop there. On December 2nd of that same year, he kept purchasing more limiteds, and this time he went on a shopping spree of nearly 300 million Robux, and also almost seemingly broke the record for the largest purchase of a Roblox limited. He spent 200 million Robux on the Dominus Frigidus, placing him in the second place for the largest purchase ever on Roblox, behind the 1 billion Robux purchase made during the April 2012 Roblox website hacking incident. Nonetheless, almost everyone suspected Mr. Bean Guy was just going to hold these items. That was until the day after, when he reportedly sold most of his limiteds for real money. And this is where Fred made his crucial mistake. Roblox takes selling limiteds for real money seriously. Fred knew this though, which is why he kept a low profile. But one thing that stood out from this situation was that many people assumed he could have just DevExed the Robux, which would have in turn guaranteed him not breaking any rules, which can only mean that Mr. Bean Guy lost access to the DevEx program somewhere along the years he was missing. It was later reported that Mr. Bean Guy sold the limiteds to 3 other players known as SoupXMR, 77 Font, and Super Epic Fun Gamer. SoupXMR was sold the Dominus Frigidus, Epic Fun Gamer received the Dominus Astra, and 77 Font obtained both the Dominus Emprius and the Domino Crown. SoupXMR and 77 Font have since been terminated, but at the time it seemed like Fred was going to get away with this, because for nearly half a year after he sold these limited items for real money, he still hadn't got his account banned. That was until July 31st of 2023 when Roblox decided to terminate his account for selling limiteds off platform, and that had officially marked the end to his Roblox career. He had lost his community, revenue, and his Roblox account. Ever since his termination back in 2023, he has left zero trace of himself. There has been no public reports of his whereabouts other than his terminated account coming online in late 2024. While there are a lot of theories of people saying he's developing under another alias, these claims have no credible evidence to back them up. So for now, it's safe to assume he simply retired from Roblox. Mr. Bean Guy managed to build a strong community, and while this community was very controversial for being toxic, he found success with doing something his younger self dreamed of. If you enjoyed watching the video, then please consider subscribing.